Welcome to Basic Brewing Radio for Thursday, August 6th, 2009. I'm James Spencer. Here at Basic Brewing Radio, we're all about home brewing. This week, Douglas Wawrzynski joins us to share his experiences and interviews from the first ever legal homebrew competition in the state of Utah. Homebrewers in that state celebrated the recent legalization of their hobby in style. If you're new to homebrewing and would like to get into the hobby for the first time, check out our website, basicbrewing.com, where you can find archives of our audio and video podcasts and our DVDs to walk you through basic and more advanced brewing techniques. And you can follow me on Twitter, my username, Basic Brewing, all one word. Also, you can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/basicbrewing.james. We also have a Basic Brewing Radio and Basic Brewing Video page on Facebook, and if you become a fan of the show there, I'll be sending out occasional notices when these shows are posted. And thanks again to everyone clicking on the Amazon.com associate link on our basicbrewing.com site. Whenever you think of Amazon, think of us and click on our associate link first. It won't cost you any extra, and you'll be helping us to bring you this show. And we appreciate your support. We really do. We also have associate links for Brew Your Own Magazine. That's Brew Your Own Magazine. And the American Homebrewers Association on our site, too. Well, Doug Wawrzynski recorded a lot of audio for us this week, but I did want to take the time to read a couple of emails from the mailbag about our recent experiment, the Basic Brewing Radio Brew Your Own Magazine experiment. This one comes from Ben in Melbourne, Australia. Ben says, on your BBR-BYO experimental brew results episode, you seemed to find that there was not much detrimental flavors produced by leaving the beer on the yeast. From experience, this does not surprise me, as I have left a fair few beers on the yeast for long periods and hardly ever rack at home. One thing that you did not mention on your show was the impact conical fermenters may have. It's my understanding that conicals compact the yeast into the cone, and it is the metabolism of the yeast in the cone that heats the yeast up, causing autolysis to be a problem. This is why it may be more important for commercial brewers to rack or simply remove the yeast from the bottom than it is for home brewers. Very interesting thought there, Ben. Does the geometry of the fermenter have any impact on yeast off flavors or the propensity of the yeast to give off flavors? In addition, I would think that in addition to the shape of the fermenter, I would think that the weight of all that beer on top of the yeast in the commercial brewery also would have to do something with needing to get the yeast out of there more quickly than in the homebrew environment. Because if you think of how much, sometimes hundreds of barrels of yeast or of beer weigh, and all that weighing down on the yeast, you would think that would have an impact as well. This is another note from our buddy Jamil Zainashev. Jamil says, I loved that you guys took on an experiment on yeast autolysis, but I was disappointed that all the discussion you had on the topic, you never mentioned the yeast health at the start of the ferment is one of the key variables in the experiment. Good point. Poor yeast health at the start or doing things like using dry yeast without properly rehydrating can result in higher levels of autolysis. I think this would explain some of the differences in the results that some folks got. Regardless, I thought it was great. Well, thanks, Jamil. And that's a good point. Pitching healthy yeast is always important, and especially if you're going to put your beer through extreme conditions like high gravity or leaving it for an extended period of time on the primary yeast. Sick yeast would obviously not perform as well. So people are still responding to the experiment, and I can't wait to get on to the next one. But for now, let's get on with the conversation with Doug Wawrzynski. He's the Utah law student that wanted his favorite hobby to become legal in his state, so he got together with Christine Johnson. He's state representative, the owners of his local homebrew shop, other homebrewers in the area, and the American Homebrewers Association. And together, they worked to convince the legislature to change the law and legalize homebrewing in Utah. And this past weekend, they celebrated their victory with the first legal Utah homebrew competition. Well, Douglas Wawrzynski, welcome back to Basic Brewing Radio.
James Spencer, it's a pleasure to be back on, and I'm happy to be here. The last time I think I was fortunate enough to be on your show. You expressed some concern, I suppose, that this might be the last time I was on the show, and here I am, Utah's first homebrewing competition, and I get another crack at being on your podcast.
Yeah. You just you're like a bad penny. You just keep coming back.
I know, and I'm sure you haven't heard the last of me.
Well, I understand you're going to move to either Mississippi or Alabama next. And,
yeah, I mean, my life had purpose the last couple of years when I actually got some traction with this homebrewing the homebrewing legalization effort, and I'll be done with law school finally at the end of this coming spring, and after that, I suppose it might just be my lifelong quest to move from state to state to finish out the last 4 remaining states in the union that don't have legal homebrewing, and maybe that'll be my mission in life.
Well, there can be worse. There can be worse missions in life than doing that, for sure.
I'm sure.
Let's talk about this past weekend. First of all, I want to apologize to everybody who I guess I promised that I was going to be in attendance for this event. But we were originally talking about it being in like in June and then July, and then by the time the date was picked, I think I got an email from you and my friend who lives outside the country at the same time telling me that both his visit and the homebrew competition were going to happen on the same weekend. And, my friends in 7th grade, I'm afraid, had to trump the fine homebrewers in Utah. So that's where I was. I was entertaining my buddy who now lives outside the country, and I only get to see one weekend a year, maybe. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to join you guys. But you have done the favor of capturing audio during the event, and I promise one day, like MacArthur, I will not return, but I will come to Utah and drink homebrew with you guys, and maybe make some homebrew with you guys. But you did have a little recorder there, and you were able to capture the events of the weekend for us, beginning with, on the first day, on Saturday, the judging of the homebrew contest.
That's right. Of course, there is no replacement for James Spencer, and you were sorely missed, although your absence was certainly excused. And I did my best to step in, and on Saturday there was the judging. They actually did what amounted to 3 flights of judging over a day and a half. There was 2 on Saturday, and then 1 on Sunday, and then eventually they did the award ceremony Sunday afternoon. And it was quite impressive. The place was full. We were at the Bayou in Salt Lake City, which is owned by Mark Alston, who also owns the Beer Nut here. And he opened the place up prior to operating hours, and we basically, the homebrewers and judges, took over and got our first competition on. And it was a lot of fun. It was my first homebrew comp to judge and to participate in, for that matter. And I had an opportunity to meet a lot of great people, a lot of professional brewers from here in Utah, and so that's what I tried to do. Was I had the recorder, and I got it grabbing the best audio as I could, with of course a great deal of help from you, and like I said, there's no replacement for James Spencer, but with what equipment I could put together and get out in the field, I tried to grab some good audio for your listeners.
And let's talk about a little bit of the parameters of the competition, especially for the first time that one of these is put together. The response from entrants was pretty darn good.
No, I agree. Yeah, they were initially anticipating anywhere from 100 to maybe 150 entrants, and when the tally was done, there was over 300. I think it was 301 was the final tally of the number of entries we got, and so interest for future competitions is high, and maybe even more specialized competitions throughout the year.
So let's take a listen to some of the interviews you got, and some were with professional brewers around the great state of Utah.
So here we are, Douglas Wawrzynski here at Utah's first legal homebrewing competition, and I'm sitting at one of several judges' tables, and I'm breathing the rarefied air of 2 professional brewers. So why don't we introduce the 2 other men at the table.
Keith Forsgren with the Zion Canyon Brewing Company in Springdale, Utah.
And
James Smith with the Brewing Company, Salt Lake City.
All right, James, why don't we start with you? We've had a chance to do some of the early judging. What does it mean to kind of take a day away from the brewery and be involved in Utah's first competition?
It's exciting. Hopefully we keep pushing the laws to go in the right direction.
Good deal. Very cool. And you?
I agree entirely. It's a good way to fit in a weekend and do the beer competition. Like you said, James, if we can continue to loosen up some of the draconian laws on alcohol and things, it's good that we got it finally passed, and now we can do homebrew competitions and we can enter the 20th century. But it's fun. It's been a lot of fun.
Well, great. Well, it's been fun sitting at the table with you guys. We've got a few more beers to go, so we'll get back into that. Thanks a lot. So here I am again with another one of the judges, Mr. Eric Wheeler.
Hello there.
How you doing today?
Oh, it's been a great day.
So you're one of the judges. What were you judging this morning?
This morning was spice, vegetable, and herb. So a pretty unique category.
And how'd that go?
It went great. Our top 4 choices were, a lavender beer, which had amazing aroma, and there's a chamomile ginger beer, a pumpkin ale, and a winter warmer with some cinnamon and apple juice in it. So quite a bit of variety. We had everything from curry to lavender, so it was interesting.
Very cool. And it's a pretty busy morning. What do you think about what you're seeing here at the first competition?
It's amazing just to be a part of history. If I can get a little corny for a minute, it's a huge step forward for us here in Utah, and just to be a part of it, I wouldn't miss it for anything. So it's been great.
Well, great. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
All right, Mike Johnson, homebrew competition organizer and official representative to ZZ Hops, probably Utah's oldest homebrewing club. Thanks for joining me, spending a few minutes, and I appreciate all the hard work you've been putting into this competition.
Yeah, absolutely. Glad to be here.
And so let's kind of get into what it's like putting together the state's first homebrew competition.
Yeah, well, it's been a pretty interesting experience. We had our homebrew legalization law go through this year. It was always sort of in a gray area, but now that it's officially legal, we decided let's do a homebrew competition. So our club, ZZ Hops, teamed up with the Beer Nut Homebrew Supply Shop and decided to organize this competition. And what I did was, initially I called some organizers of other competitions around the country and kind of bent their ear and picked their brains about, got any advice for us? How should we run this thing? What are the things we have to think about? And that was very helpful. Also, the American Homebrew Association and the BJCP have a website that's very helpful on how to set up and run a competition. So that was a lot of help. Now, we didn't anticipate as many entries as we got, so that's sort of another story. We had to make a lot of last-minute adjustments to accommodate all the interest that we've seen. But that's kind of the main thing we did to figure out how to run it. Mostly talk to other people that have done competitions previously.
And so what's your impression of the makeup of the entrants? It sounded like, from what I was gathering, there was a lot of the entries came in towards the right up against the deadline.
Yeah, I bet that's a pretty common thing. I know when I've sent in entries, usually I'm sending it shortly before the deadline, not, in the earliest part of the window where you'll accept them. So we ended up with 300. We thought we were going to get more like 100 to 150. And I think over the couple weeks that people were sending entries in, we didn't know that we were going to break 200 until probably the day before the deadline, and then we had like 100 plus come in the very last day.
So what do you think the balance is as far as like inside the state and mail-in orders or entries?
Yeah, out of the 300, it's probably something like 250 to 270 in-state. So mostly in-state, but I think about 4 or 5 other states are represented.
And you think we'll be able to do this in years to come?
Yeah, I think this is just the beginning. People here are really excited to have a competition locally, finally, as evidenced by the tremendous turnout that we've seen with all these entries coming in.
Yeah.
And so I think it's something that a lot of people here locally are really looking forward to, not having to, ship beers off out of state if they want to enter a competition and get some feedback. They can, just go ahead and do it here locally.
Great. And you mentioned before that you're from ZZ Hops, and I've been aware of the name for a while now. Why don't you give us a little history on the Homebrew Club and where you've been involved, how you've been involved?
Yeah, the club started about in the mid-'80s or so. It's always been a fairly small group. I think partly because home brewing in Utah is, we haven't had this legalization bill until recently. It's always been sort of a word of mouth kind of a thing. It hasn't been something that I think was really widely known. But with the bill legalizing homebrew and with this event and getting some more exposure, we hope to really grow the ranks of the club. We have been around for quite a while, and we welcome anybody that wants to come to the meetings and join. So we're hopeful that this will lead to increased participation and membership in our club.
And from what I've seen, I've been able to attend the meeting. It sounds like you've got some really skilled brewers. And have you, has CZ Hops participated in homebrewing competitions at a national scale before?
Well, we've never been involved in running one, of course, until this year.
Right.
But what the club generally has done, through the American Homebrew Association, they have what are called the club-only competitions. And that's about 7 or 8 times a year. Nationally, clubs will choose the best beer that they can make of a certain category, let's say American Ale or light lager, something like that. And then the clubs will all send a beer in nationally to have them judged in sort of a competition among clubs. And CZ Hops has always been pretty actively involved in submitting entries to that sort of competition. And then we will usually have a pretty good number of entries that we'll submit to the National Homebrew Competition as well on an annual basis.
And do you have any entries in today's competition yourself?
I do. I have a few entries, so I'll be very interested to see how those do.
What'd you put in?
I've got something in light lager. I've got something in German wheat and rye. I've got a barley wine in there, and a porter as well. So, yeah, it'll be very interesting to see what happens.
Awesome. Well, thanks for your time.
Yeah, sure. Thanks.
So here I am with yet another one of Utah's illustrious professional brewers. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Kevin Templin with Red Rock Brewing Company.
And we had a chance to meet at the HB51 unveiling at Desert Edge.
Yeah, that was fun.
You participated, and Red Rock put together a good example of the joint brew. And here you are again, helping out with Utah's homebrewing community, being one of the judges. What's your impression so far today?
Good beers. They're all good beers. A lot of good saisons, a lot of good whip beers.
So that was what you were judging this morning?
They were really good.
And I couldn't help but notice out of the corner of my eye you were dealing with a couple of gushers over here. Is that?
We had some gushers. That's okay.
Right.
That happens. It's not something you want it to happen all the time, but it happens. You maybe give them a little hint. What might help and what might not help. And a lot of it has to do with the malt, so I mean it's a tricky thing.
Yeah.
Or over priming, obviously. A lot of people prime their homebrews. So.
Right. So what's your take on how the homebrewing community has come together after the legalization effort?
Oh, it's great. We've got a lot of people stopping in the brewery and hanging out, chit-chatting a lot. They're all coming out of the woodwork now. They've been making these beers at home for a long time now. Yeah. And it was kind of illegal, I guess. They didn't want to toot their horn too much, and now they've been making it for so long, and now all of a sudden you can do it. And it's, you're seeing all their fruits of their labor come out.
Right. Well, it's actually kind of impressive when you figure that it's only been legal, now, for a couple of months, and we've got 300 entries for our competition.
Yep. Yeah, it's
so,
good.
Yeah.
It's good. There's a lot of homebrewers out there. I know that, especially in Utah.
Right.
They just want you to know about it.
Yeah. You and I have had a chance to talk before about the cooperative nature of the microbrew industry. What's your take on the community of brewers here in Utah?
Oh, I get along with everybody.
Yeah.
I go out of my way to get along with everybody. Yeah. Anybody wants to borrow anything from me? Come get it. Anybody wants to have beers together? Let's go. I mean, I got nothing but good things to say about every single brewer and every single brewery in this whole state. I get along great with all of them, and we make a real point to be more than friendly and more than neighborly to other breweries. And some other breweries don't necessarily hold hands like they should, but we go out of our way to hold hands with everybody.
And Red
Rock
Rock
helps in the long run.
Yeah. And Red Rock in particular, you've been doing some interesting things down there at your brewery. You've got how do you pronounce it? Le Rev that comes out.
The Rev.
And is that the one that you break out the wild yeast for?
Yeah, it's a barrel aged beer. It ages for a year in American oak. It's a strong golden Belgian ale, and then we bottle condition it. And it is resting on Brett and a couple of little buggies.
So how do other breweries take to you when you come wandering around?
They didn't know that you could even make anything like that in Utah.
Yeah.
But it's done really good. We won a bunch of awards in Idaho. We won a couple medals at GABF with it. It's done really good. And we released about 1,500 bottles last fall, and it was gone in a month.
Wow.
And this October we're doing another run of it, so coming back out again. we have a dandelion green beer we collaborated with the Belgian Brewing Company on, and we got that on wood right now too.
Wow.
So that's doing its thing.
Well, great. Well, I appreciate your time. I appreciate you coming out and being a part of the homebrewing community.
Oh, I love those guys. They come by anytime, have beers.
Right on. Thanks.
All right.
All right. So while I was talking to Mike Johnson and Kevin separately, we found out that you guys actually work together cooperatively every year. Why don't you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, last year I got in touch with Kevin here, and there's a program called the Pro-Am that they do at Great American Beer Festival, where a home brewer can team up with a professional brewer and scale up an award-winning home brew, serve it at the Great American Beer Festival, and it's entered into a special category of all the Pro-Am beers from around the country that people do. So it's a mix of styles that are competing against each other, but they hand out medals in those styles. And it's just a super cool program for a home brewer because you get to go down and make a 10-barrel batch of what you're usually making 5 gallons of, and get to see how the pros work, and sort of a dream come true sort of deal for a home brewer. And then I got to go with these guys to the Great American Beer Festival last year, and they serve the beer on the floor, and then enter it into the category. So it's a really cool program.
And as a professional brewer, what's your inspiration for getting involved in a Pro-Am competition?
Mike strong-armed me into it. I have nothing to do with it. No, I just they do it every year. We did it the first year. They did it with another local guy here, and then he moved away. Mike came in, and all of his homebrews are super, super good. And so last year we did American Style Pale Ale, all his recipe and everything. He formulated it all. We just do a couple test batches at his house that he makes, then we come in and make 400 gallons of it. This year we did a black lager beer, so it's similar to Schwartz beer basically is what it is, and we're going to send that off. Right now that's in the lagering tank, lagering right now. So, and he gets to have his name up on the board, and all of his buddies get to come in, drink his beer on draft at a pub. And then, like you said, we go to GABF. He's going to GABF this year too. We get him on the brewery representatives pass. And gets to go in all 3 days and mingle and actually realize how good a beer he's making, and you get to try all those other professional beers, and all of a sudden you realize that your home beer is pretty darn close to as good as it can get.
So what's your feedback been the last couple of years?
I kind of hung around the Pro-Am booth and tried to listen in on some comments that people tasting the beer.
Just relax, have a home brew, right?
It was well received. So it was pretty cool.
Well, great. Yeah, it's a good time. It's a good way of having a home brewer. He's a lawyer for his trade. I'm a brewer for my trade. He can go ahead and come in and make a big batch. If he comes in, he mashes it in, pitches yeast, fermentation, and we're going to filter it next week. It's going to lagering, rack it. His hands on everything throughout the whole process. So it's his beer, and he's just making it in my kitchen. Let's have a bigger kitchen than that.
Yeah, and hopefully one thing we've talked about with this competition is that maybe we can have this kind of feed into some Pro-Am activity with other local breweries, and have people who win ribbons here pair up with professional brewers and have this kind of be a competition that feeds into that.
Great. So here we are, second flight of judging this morning on Saturday, the Beehive Brew Off. I'm at the Pilsner's table with Tyson Addy, a brewer from Bohemia, yet another professional. How's it going? All right, yourself? Good. You having fun this morning? Absolutely. Now, we were talking a little bit off microphone. You've been with Bohemia a couple months now. Yeah. And what's your prior qualifications to being a brewer?
Prior to being a professional brewer is just about 8 years home brewing experience, and I was an engineer before I moved to the brewing.
Right on. So you're basically one of the home brewers living the dream, right? Toss off the shackles of the daily work life and got yourself a pair of rubber boots.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
So what's it like making the transition from home brewer to pro brewer?
It's a lot more fun, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
I had to make some adjustments as far as starting out in brewing. You don't make very much money at all, so that was the biggest adjustment for me. But I'm figuring it out. It's all right.
It's a switch worth it, though. It's a lot of fun.
Definitely. Yeah.
And so you mentioned this is your first time judging. What's your impression of the Utah homebrewing community out today?
Well, it's pretty sweet. It's actually pretty surprising how many entries we had. It's encouraging.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Well, what's your impression of the entry so far? What do you think?
Well, I was on the Belgian Strong category, and actually we had a couple with some problems, but other than that, they were very strong.
Yeah.
Very strong entry. So the triples and the Belgian darks is pretty excellent.
Great.
So surprising, yeah.
Great. Well, looking forward to cracking out some beers with you and see what they taste like.
This should be a style that I'm pretty familiar with now, so being a Bohemian. So.
Yeah. Well, you guys specialize in lagers now.
Lagers, yeah.
And what do you have on tap down there now?
So we have the Bohemian Pilsner, Viennese lager, and Cherney Bock, a black Bock, basically, and the Bavarian Weiss.
So certainly well qualified for this category judging, right?
I hope so.
Great.
Thanks.
So it sounded like everybody was having fun and getting into it, and really, it sounded like the camaraderie among professional and homebrewers was really high.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It was a great morning. Got nice and loud. Everyone was having a good time, laughing, meeting people for the first time while they were judging beers. And then after the morning session was over and they were trying to get ready for the afternoon flight, the kitchen brought out, free food for all the judges, and I sacrificed my personal well-being and my free lunch to walk around and grab a couple more interviews from some important people. I mentioned earlier that Mark Alston, the owner of the Bayou and the Beer Nut, who our local homebrew shop, he opened the spot up for us there at the Bayou to host the homebrew comp, and so I grabbed him for an interview and got some words from him, and then shortly thereafter I really wanted to make sure I got some time with Jamie Burnham, who, many are aware is the manager of the Beer Nut in Salt Lake City and pretty much runs the show there. And Mark is not shy about giving her credit for that. But she also, in addition to her responsibilities, really spearheaded a lot of the organization along with ZZ Hops and Mike Johnson in getting the homebrew competition going seamlessly. As a matter of fact, the interview I grabbed with her, she was multitasking. She was still printing off judges' labels and making sure that everyone had enough scoring sheets and was multitasking during the interview. And so I think that was a testament to just how much time and energy she's invested in this homebrew competition. And so I think that's a valuable interview as well.
All right, so here we are with Mark Olson. I appreciate you opening up your establishment here for this homebrewing competition at the Bayou. This is great stuff, so thanks for having us.
Oh, it's been awesome. So much fun.
Good. So what's your impression? What do you think about how this is turning out?
I think for the first time we've ever done it, it's going way smoother than I could possibly imagine.
Good.
We doubled the number of entries we thought we'd get. We were hoping, in our wildest hopes, we were hoping for 150 plus entries. And to get 300 exactly is just great. It's terrific, yeah.
So how many judges do you have to pull together to get this done?
I believe today we had 28 judges, and tomorrow we have a much reduced, 18 tomorrow.
Okay.
So, but that's pretty good.
It is very good.
Yeah, and we have all the local brewers, pretty much all the brewers' assistants, everybody in town that is involved in the beer scene is really good. And that's the fact that all these professional brewers have spent their whole day down here basically for free judging beer for us is awesome.
Right. And you mentioned I've actually had a chance to grab one or two of the brewers. What breweries are represented here today?
Damn near all of them. We have Red Rock, Squatters, Wasatch. We don't have Moab. They weren't able to come up. I said our Red Rock already. We have what am I leaving out? We have Bohemian. We have Desert Edge. That's pretty tall in the city. Okay. The only guys that haven't shown up are the Park City guys or the Moab guys and the Optics.
So you think you're gonna host this for us again next year?
Yeah. Can we say on internet radio?
I'm sure James will sort that out in the end. And I know James really wanted to be here this weekend, and I'm sure he's excited to have this show come together. But I'm hoping we can all get together in the future and do another great competition.
It's funny. It's like everybody, since there are going to be listeners on this from all over the place, everybody mocks Utah and our crazy Utah liquor laws and our 3-2 beer and all this sort of stuff. We have the strongest, tightest beer culture and beer community I've seen anywhere. We have the brewers here are all tight, work together. Everybody knows everybody. We have the most unbelievable homebrewing community in Salt Lake. And maybe it's because of the repressive alcohol laws and all that kind of stuff. But this town is constantly amazes me with the quality of homebrews and commercial beers that come out of it. So I think we're going to do this thing forever and ever and ever.
Good deal.
Yeah.
Well, great. Thanks a lot.
Oh, you're welcome, man.
Jamie Burnham, the unsung hero of the Beehive Brew Off here.
I have to interject. She is the unsung hero. She pulled this thing out of her bottom and has done a phenomenal job.
You're up to your elbows in paperwork and judge stickers. This is great. So, how's it been going today?
Surprisingly sweet.
Yeah?
Yes. Very excited that these are going so well.
How much time would you say you had to invest in just getting us up to this day?
Hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. Four tables, put an exact number on it. I couldn't tell you. From the moment that Mark said, let's have a competition, I've been quite constant and I've been scrambling to put this thing together. So.
I sent you a text message that day when you had all the last minute entries. You're up to your elbows. What was that all about?
As we were entering them in on the last day, we, entering bottles in, we were in the 200 mark, and they just kept coming. And it was, I almost started crying. Make it stop, make it stop. Finally, the very last beer was entry number 301, which, 301 beers for the very first Beehive Brew Off. It's amazing.
It's amazing.
It's amazing.
So we're going to be doing these again in the future, you think?
I believe we will do an annual competition.
Yeah.
How can we not now? I mean, look at the response we got.
Right. This has been a lot of fun. You still having fun even though you're swamped in paperwork?
This is very exciting. And once it's all said and done, we can look back and pat ourselves on the back for how successful we were.
A lot of professional brewers out here today helping out.
A lot of professionals. Thank goodness for the professional judges. Otherwise, we would be scrambling hardcore and putting this into a week judging instead of 3 days.
Great. Well, thanks a lot, Jamie.
You bet.
So Jamie is a super nice person. I deal with Jamie because the Beer Nut, actually, if you buy an equipment kit at the Beer Nut, you will get, I believe, a basic brewing introduction to extract homebrewing DVD. And we are, Steve and I are extremely grateful for the Beer Nut's support. And Jamie is always super to talk to and very helpful whenever I have a question or need something. Or so I hope that people recognized the role that she played in putting this together. So it's nice to give her some credit publicly. But the awards ceremony, how did that go? I mean, this is the very first award ceremony of its kind in the state of Utah. What was the mood?
Well, I got to set this up for you. This was really to really grasp the concept of what this was. I made the time to make sure I could get over to the Bayou on a Sunday evening, and the place opens up at 5:00, and the award ceremony was advertised as starting at 5:30, and so I probably strolled in at 5:15 on a Sunday afternoon, and I opened the door to just this roar of noise, and as your eyes pull focus as you step out of the sunlight, you began to realize that the Bayou was packed wall to wall, and I really didn't realize I'd never been to the Bayou before on a Sunday, and I was like, wow, this place really fills up for having been open for 15 minutes. And I went up to the maitre d' and I said, where I'm here for the homebrew thing, where are they meeting up? And she sort of turns and she goes, you're looking at them. And sure enough, the place was full of Utah homebrewers and probably some non-Utah homebrewers for all I know. And according to both the maitre d' and later with Mark, there wasn't maybe one or two actual non-homebrewing customers that had come in that day. The Utah homebrewers were just happy to get together and share in their hobby, and people that had never met before were just getting together and just excited to be involved in their hobby and to be able to celebrate it publicly. And you could walk by table after table and just hear people telling each other stories of, their new mash tun or what they're going to do next time, or, they're going over their feedback forms and, saying, oh yeah, I thought that was going to be a problem. And whether the people meddled or not, they were just really excited to get some feedback and to be able to sort of participate in this sort of camaraderie. And it was just a really fantastic experience.
So here I am with one of the medal winners of Utah's first homebrewing competition. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
My name's Kevin Cruz.
And you're a member of our local homebrew club, are you not?
Yes, ZZ Hops.
And so why don't you tell us a little bit about, first of all, what'd you win in?
I got a bronze in the Smoke IPA category.
Smoked IPA. Very cool. Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, I've been doing it for a few years. So the first couple of years, it'd peel paint off the sidewalk with too much pepper. So over the years, kind of toned down the pepper, and this year got it right.
Right on. And so, what's your overall impression of our first homebrew comp?
It was good. It was great to have so many people, local from Utah, turn up with their home brews and be able to have a very well-run organization and a contest here by the Beer Nut and the Bayou.
All right. Well, congratulations. Thanks a lot.
Hey, thank you.
All right. So I'm here with me now with one other of our illustrious medalists for the homebrewing competition. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
My name's Mike Hahn, and I entered a Saison and a Frambozen.
So, well, tell us a little bit about, well, first of all, how did each one do?
Well, the Frambozen took a 41 on the points. The Saison was a 43, I believe, which took a first place in the Belgian and French ale category.
Right on. And so you're actually a two-time medalist now in Utah's first homebrewing competition. And I think you're also a member of ZZ Hops, is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. I've been a member of ZZ Hops for about 15 years. We've been making beer, judging beers, sending beers to homebrew competitions for quite a long time.
Well, right on. So, as a 15-year member of ZZ Hops, how do you feel about the hobby being finally legal?
It's about time. We don't have to hide it anymore. We can come out and do our own homebrew competitions and do this kind of a system, and I think it's good for everybody.
So what do you think going forward? You think we should do some more competitions in the future?
Yeah, I think we're going to do an annual beer competition every year from here on out, from what I understand, and I think the popularity will grow and the entries will probably grow as well.
Well, great. Thank you so much for your time, and congratulations.
Thanks, Doug.
Why don't you introduce yourselves? We got two brewers, one medal. What do we got?
I'm Liam Connolly. We got a medal for the Russian Imperial Stout. We got third place.
Your name?
I'm Reardon Connolly.
Reardon. Your brothers?
Yes.
All right. Well, tell me a little bit about the beer.
The beer is really high alcohol, dark roasty, a lot of chocolate flavors coming through, and nice mouthfeel, and ended up pretty good. We were confident about it going in, but didn't really expect to get third. Really psyched to see that we did. Out of a field of 16, this was just an adaptation. We just upped the alcohol on an dry Irish stout that we'd done earlier in the year that came out really rich. And we were just happy that it placed. We submitted a lot of beers, and this is the only one that placed. It's very awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So, why don't you're one of our fellow Beer Nut employees. So, what was it like setting up for this actual competition?
It was nuts. There was so much on the last day, on that Monday. Literally, we had maybe 175 beforehand. Over 130 entries came in that afternoon. I'm sitting there running back and forth, signing people up and helping them, trying to determine. Nobody knew the categories. So it was a nightmare, it was a headache, it was a blast, all at the same time.
Cool. So Jamie Burnham isn't here, but word on the street is she's the unsung hero of the whole thing. Say something nice about her.
She worked her ass off today, or not just today, every day, trying to get everything out. She was the nuts and bolts of it. Everything that had to be figured out, she figured out.
Right on. Well, I appreciate your time. Congratulations, guys, and you have a good night, man.
Thanks, Doug.
Thank you. All right, well, here with yet another entrant to the first homebrew competition here in Utah. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
My name's Kenny T, and this is Scotty and Rick, and we're actually Three Zombies Brewing Company.
All right, so another joint brew tonight. Great. So what'd you submit?
We submitted Hefeweizen and a Pale Ale.
All right. How'd they do?
They did well. Hefeweizen did great. We got an excellent on it.
Yeah.
It's actually our second time.
Good deal.
So, we were really excited about our points and stuff. A little refinement. Hey, we'll be in the top next time.
Next year we'll be back.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it.
So what are your thoughts on some of the other feedback? Was it constructive feedback?
Oh, I thought it was all very constructive. Yeah. And, you read down on their points that they made, you can actually see that when somebody's telling you, hey, we're new to this. First time, it's good information. We're going to use it the next time we brew.
Well, good deal. So, what do you think about the hobby finally being legal in the state, huh?
Oh, man, how long's it been? Too long.
Too long, right?
Too long. Heck yeah, 53 years at least too long.
Yeah, for sure.
Heck yeah.
Well, good deal. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your efforts, and congratulations. It's good to meet you. Have a great night. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, these guys, I mean, these brewers, there is an established homebrew club there, so it's not like they were, in a closet at home. But when something is not legal, in a state. You don't do it in as open a way as this. So, I mean, this is kind of pardon the expression, a coming out party for Utah homebrewers.
I agree. I think a lot of people looked at it like that. There was a lot of people that sort of expressed it's about time we got this going, and they're excited at future loosening of the alcohol laws in Utah. But it was just fun to get together and see people like that.
Now you, as people have followed the progress of this, you were kind of instrumental in getting the ball rolling, and you have to throw modesty aside now, Douglas, and tell us what they did for you.
Well, I think getting the ball rolling is an appropriate term. I really felt like I just got involved a little early and had the inspiration to kind of touch base with some legislators and try and get things moving in the right direction. And homebrewers throughout the state really, got behind it, felt like this was the time to do it. And that was when, I started making good friends with the people at the Beer Nut more so than I had before. And I met people from the Homebrew Club, ZZ Hops, and made some really great friends throughout the process. And that evening, as I was trying to grab some interviews, Mike Johnson, one of the senior members of ZZ Hops, he's been a member, I think he mentions in one of the interviews, 14, 15 years, and maybe he's not the longest standing member of the club, but he's certainly been there for a long time and makes some great beers, came up and said, do you mind if I grab a few minutes of audio when you're interviewing? And I said, sure, let's roll. And they presented me with what will surely be a longtime treasure of mine. I was presented with a custom tap handle, and it is now mounted proudly in my kitchen. When my wife very graciously let me put a little kegerator for homebrew, and so now anyone that comes over, and first they get to marvel at the kegerator, then they get to marvel, if they don't know me, that it's homebrew, and then they get to get a glance at the tap handle, and It's kind of nice. I don't like to draw a lot of attention to myself and pretend like it's all my, fault, if you will, for legalizing homebrewing in the state of Utah. But still, there is something a little satisfying when people give you the nod of satisfaction when they read, the tap handle and they're like, oh, so that was you. So, it wasn't just me. I have to keep saying that because I really feel awful trying to pretend like I'm more important than I am. But it was a fun process, and it was a really great thing to meet all these people. And some part of me will always feel like I left my little mark on Utah, no matter where I wind up.
All right, so here we are. This is the award ceremony night. I'm sitting here with Mark Alston and a few of our medalists tonight. So
and Mike Johnson.
Mike Johnson. And let's.
Well, this year, which presents so well on radio, is from Jamie and the Beer Nut and Mike and the whole ZZ Hops guys for your effort in like being the bug that kicked the wheel off and making the homebrew legal here, man.
Well, thanks. This is.
I'll just let me just read what it says. It's a tap handle rather than a boring plaque to hang on the wall. You can put this on your kegerator.
I can't read. He only drinks.
Presented by the Beer Nut and the ZZ Hops Homebrew Club to Doug Wawrzynski. A grateful appreciation for his efforts in bringing about the legalization of homebrew in Utah. Without those efforts, we wouldn't have had this competition today at all. So, big thank you from all of us.
So thank you very much. That is a radio handshake, and this is a fine tap handle. It's freaking fantastic. I love it.
There's apparently only two made. One, you and Jamie have one similar. That's it.
I love it, man. This is
smashed them all.
Very cool. This is by far and away the nicest tap handle I have because the other ones I have are the $2 ones that come stock with the chrome tap. So this will forever hang in a place of honor on the best beer I've got on tap at all times.
That's awesome.
Thank you very much. That's awesome. I'm really happy about this. I couldn't have expected anything better. Right on. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
I appreciate the work you did.
Thank you very much.
You're a good man.
Appreciate it.
I have to say that I'm glad that they give you a token of appreciation for your work because it's you're a modest guy, but you did do quite a bit of work, and it was a team effort. You couldn't have done it alone, obviously, but you said, hey, let's change this law, and you got people together. And you were kind of the energizing force behind it, and got the ball rolling. You got the AHA involved, and you did more than you are acknowledging. So I think you sent me a picture of you with the legislation sitting on the steps of the Capitol, and I think I posted that on the Facebook page for the show. So if you want to see Douglas, proudly with his legislation and on the state capitol with a cool hat, by the way.
Mm-hmm. Indeed, I got my basic Brewing Radio cap on. It rounded out the AHA Brewing shirt that I have, and friends of mine on Facebook can log on and take a look at the tap handle too. Maybe we can. Cool. I'll tag you on that, and so people that are fans of your page can take a look, and if they want to have a little peek at my memento, they can.
So to speak.
Yes.
Well, let's wrap it up. You had a chance to sit down for a few minutes at the end of the evening with Mark Alston of the Beer Nut.
All right, here I am. I'm with Mark Alston. You get the big wrap-up interview, Mark. Here we are. We're hanging out in the back of the bayou. We've got a couple of beers. We're on a leather couch. You've got a full bar all around us.
Of homebrew beer geeks.
All homebrewers. Everyone I've talked to tonight's here for this very moment. I don't know that we have any organic customers tonight, but...
I'm scared away.
So let's start off. You said you wanted to set the record straight. A little something that happened yesterday. I think you slighted one of the breweries.
I did. I was mentioning all the brewers who are in town were so awesome about sending people here and giving us judges and stewards and everything. And I believe that I said that UNA didn't send anybody. And what I meant to say is UNA sent almost everybody. We had UNA judges all over the panels, best of show. In fact, I double dutied a couple of them in categories that they hate. Matt Beamer, one of our awesome judges, is not a Belgian fan, and he had to slog through an unbelievable number of Belgians yesterday, and then a bunch more stuff today. They were all great.
We even had a judge that was allergic to Belgian yeast, didn't we?
We did. Adam Curfew. He's so allergic that one time he had to be rushed to the hospital by one of our other judges who was here in a kind of a quick and emergency way. So we were quite careful about what we let him drink.
All right, so after a 2-day event, sitting on a field of victory here, enjoying some good beers. What's your big takeaway? What do you think about this whole homebrew comp?
You know, the biggest takeaway I'm having right now, especially after having judged the best of show stuff, is it reinforces my belief that the best beers in the world out there you can drink are coming from homebrewers. Sometimes the worst beers you can drink come from homebrewers also, but the best of show round, those were 15 unbelievably good beers that I would purchase any of those and try to sell them in our bar any day of the week. They were incredible. And it's just the talent of homebrewers never ceases to amaze me.
I agree. And I can't think of any better note than to end this basic Brewing Radio series of interviews than when you present me with one of our Beehive Brew Off Utah First Homebrew Competition commemorative pint glasses. And I will be the custodian to present this posthumously not posthumously.
Oh my God!
No.
Do you know something he doesn't know yet?
No. But I will be the custodian of this glass, and I will mail it to James Spencer in appreciation for covering the entire homebrew legalization effort from beginning to end. We have here a commemorative homebrew glass.
And then he needs to get his butt into our town and have some beers with us.
I absolutely
agree. And be here
agree.
next year and do some judging action or something.
I like it. Okay. James Spencer, official judge for the second annual BI Brew Off.
There you go.
All right, we'll push it. Well, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
All right.
So posthumously, Douglas, is there something that you're not telling me about?
Well, I'll tell you, it's just when you start to feel like you're a little too self-important and you feel like you need to reflect how smart you are in your vocabulary, you are smote with something like that. And so as soon as it came out of my mouth, I smacked myself on the forehead, which doesn't make good radio. But yeah, I'm sorry. So that was my humbling experience for the day. Shortly after my pride had been swollen with my great tap handle, I went ahead and purported your death, and I was accepting awards for you already, so lesson learned.
I think the phrase is in absentia, maybe, instead of posthumously, right?
The word I was groping for was proxy.
Oh, but, okay.
Yeah.
Future attorney, Doug Wawrzynski. Read those contracts carefully, people. Oh, well, this has been a lot of fun, and I really appreciate your taking the time and effort to take time away from your enjoying the event to bring us in on it. And I feel thrilled to be so closely on the sidelines to watching this whole process unravel, because it is a historic little segment of time. We actually saw something change, something that impacts homebrewers' lives directly. So once again, thanks for all your work and keeping us up to date with the proceedings throughout the whole thing, and for helping it to cover, or for covering the event itself. And thanks on behalf of Utah homebrewers and homebrewers throughout the country who surely will feel the ripple effects of this legislation. Thank you very, very much, Douglas.
Hey, you're welcome. I appreciate it. And thank you for, covering the legislative effort over the last couple of years and giving me an opportunity to be on your show. I think that, if I didn't have an excuse to wander around and walk up to people and say, hey, do you mind if I, grab some audio for Basic Brewing Radio, probably wouldn't have had the courage to walk up and meet, all these great people and meet some of the brewers. And so it was fun to work, with you on getting these, put together. So I value the time. It certainly wasn't putting me out in any stretch of the imagination. It was a lot of fun. So thank you, James.
All right. Thanks, Doug.
Welcome.
Well, thanks again to Doug Wawrzynski. How much fun was that? I wish I could have been there. Really do. Congratulations to everyone in Utah for knocking down that wall, and that should be inspiring to the other 4 states out there still working toward that goal. Remember, everybody, we've got the Brewer's Logbook. I don't know if I should even say it anymore. Just a few. And our new Basic Winemaking Introduction to Wine Kits DVD out there on our store. If you have brewing questions, show suggestions, or just want to say howdy, write to james@basicbrewing.com, or just fill out the contact form on basicbrewing.com. And please don't forget to tell us where you're from. And please be patient with me if I'm a little slow getting back to you. Check out our low-tech lagering decoction mashing DVD on basicbrewingshop.com, along with our other DVDs, Introduction to Extract Home Brewing and Stepping into All Grain. And we've got combo deals there on our site to save you a couple of bucks. And you can see a listing of the fine folks across the country who sell our DVDs on basicbrewing.com. And if there isn't a vendor in your area, you can order it online from us in our online shop at basicbrewingshop.com, and I'll box it up myself. We've also got shirts of different colors, and we appreciate everybody who's continued to click on our Amazon.com link. We appreciate the support there as well. Our featured products this week that were purchased through the link are the Eat Clean Diet, fast fat loss that lasts forever, and New Balance Sneaker Balls. Thanks again, everybody. Remember, I can't tell who bought what, so no worries. Just click on the Amazon.com logo on our site the next time you feel like Amazon shopping, and we appreciate your support. And don't forget that you can also join the American Homebrewers Association through an associate link on the site, as well as subscribe to Brew Your Own magazine. That's it. Until next week. Until then, thanks for listening. I'm James Spencer. Production help for Basic Brewing Radio and our website is provided by Kelly Dodson down in Austin, Texas. Basic Brewing Radio is a production of Active Voicing. We'll talk to you next time, everybody. So long.